Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about long division. Now you performed long division and you learned about it back in elementary school. This, of course, is going to be a little different, but the process is exactly the same. I wanted to review with you the steps for long division. They include step 1, which is to divide, then we multiply, then we subtract, and then we bring down. Now normally you would divide, for example, 8 into 53. This time we have variables, so that adds a little extra fun to our problem. We're going to have a slight twist on that rule because of the various terms in the polynomial. When we divide, you just divide the first term by the first term. So I have 2x squared plus 9x plus 4, and I'm dividing by x plus 3. So I'm going to divide the first term, 2x squared, by the first term, x. And I'll use this area right here for a little bit of side work if it helps you to write it down and let you see it a little bit better, that's fine. So if I take 2x squared and divide by x, you will see that should simplify to a 2x. Okay, so what I get is 2x. So I'm going to write 2x. Let me go back to 8 divided into 8, 53. Well, 8 goes into 53 6 times. I wouldn't put the 6 over the 5. I would put it over the 3, put it over the second term. I am dividing by 2 terms, so when I divide, I should put it over the second term. Another way to look at it is, if I have a 2x to the first power, it should be lined up right over the x to the first power. So I'm going to put my 2x right over the 9x. Now, step 2, multiply. I have to multiply everything. We're not just going to do first term by first term. So I'm taking 2x and multiplying it by the entire x plus 3. If it helps, I'll leave this for work, it would be like the distributive property. It actually is the distributive property. 2x multiplied by x plus 3. When I distribute, I get 2x squared plus 6x. Okay, so now I'm going to subtract. So when I subtract, I highly advise that you use parentheses and be very careful. That minus, the subtraction goes to both terms. So 2x squared minus 2x squared is 0, and that should happen every time. 9 minus 6 is 3x. And then the last step is to bring down. So I bring down this plus 4, and I start all over again. So we divide first term by first term. 3x divide by x. Let me try that over here. 3x divide by x gives me 3. So I'm going to put a 3 right lined up right over that 4. Now I multiply 3 times the whole thing, x plus 3. 3 times x plus 3. When I distribute, that gives me a 3x plus 9. Now I subtract. When I subtract, remember, use parentheses. 3x minus 3x is 0. 4 minus 9 is negative 5. And that can happen. You can get a negative 5. Last step, bring down. I have nothing left to bring down, so I'm done. The final answer is I get 2x plus 3, but I have a negative 5, and that is called your remainder. So I'm just going to write remainder, negative 5, and there we go. Let's try this with a little bit longer problem and see if we can follow the steps. Now, I didn't write them down, but remember they are, I'll use green, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Okay, so step 1, divide. What is x cubed divide by x? X cubed divide, oh, I'll just write it this way. Divide by x, and I get x squared. So I'm going to put that under the second term, which is my x squared term. And now I'm going to multiply. X squared gets multiplied by the entire x plus 4. When I distribute, I get x cubed plus 4x squared. Oh, goodness. That was an interesting, okay. That's what I get for kind of writing sideways. Subtract. 1x cubed minus 1x cubed is 0. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Now we're going to have to be careful and watch these negative signs. Last step is to bring down. I'm going to bring down the negative 5x and start all over again. Remember, you bring down one term at a time. Divide. What is? Let me separate my work. Negative 2x squared divide by x. And I get negative 2x. So I'm going to write that up here. Then I'm going to multiply negative 2x times the entire x plus 4. Distribute. Negative 2x squared. Be careful, that's a minus 8x. Oh boy, I see a lot of negatives here. Please be extra careful. Minus a negative is the same thing as plus a positive, or just plus. So, negative 2 minus a negative 2 is negative 2 plus 2, which is 0. Negative 5 minus negative 8. Let me write that down over here. That is negative 5 minus a negative 8, which is plus a positive. That gives me 3. So I have 3x. Bring down. I'm going to bring down this negative 12. And I'm going to start all over again. 3x divide by x. 3x divide by x. The x's cancel, and I'm left with a 3. Multiply 3 times the entire x plus 4 is 3x plus 12. 3x plus 12. Be careful. It is very easy for you to accidentally write 0 because negative 12 plus 12 is 0. But we're not adding these numbers, we are subtracting them. So negative 12 minus 12 is not 0, it's negative 24. And that number is my remainder. So my final answer is x squared plus, not plus, minus 2x plus 3, and my remainder is negative 24. Now, I want to do one more problem because I want to throw a couple zingers at you and see if we can handle this. The first zinger, you may notice, is that I'm not dividing by 1x anymore. I'm dividing by a 2x plus 1. It's not going to change anything. We're still going to work the problem the same way. So I am dividing by a 2x plus 1. So I'm going to set up my problem, because sometimes it's not already set up for you. There's another zinger here. When I go to write this polynomial right here, I have a problem. And that problem is I am missing a term. Hopefully you notice that we began with an x to the third, then we have an x to the first. What happened to an x to the second? I don't have one here. If there is a missing term, you must put a value in its place, kind of like a placeholder. Okay, you have to put something in that position. So, when I am writing the polynomial here, I am starting with a 4x to the third. I do not have an x to the second power. I do not have a quadratic term. So I need to fill its space with a 0. There is no x squared. I have 5x to the first and minus 7. So now that we've set it up properly, let's do our long division. Divide. 4x cubed, here comes my work. 4x cubed divide by 2x is 2x squared. So I'm going to write that up here. And again, I'm going to line the squared answer over the squared term here. Multiply. Now this is where it's going to get a little dodgy. Distributive property. 2x squared times 2x is 4x cubed. 2x squared times 1 is 2x squared. All right, so let's write that down. 4x cubed plus 2x squared. And by the way, I thought I'd mention, it really does not make any difference if you decided to write plus 0x squared or if you wrote minus 0x squared. Same thing. So what is 0 minus 2? It is a negative 2x squared. And we're going to bring down that 5x. So we bring down the 5x and we start all over again. So negative 2x squared divided by 2x is a negative 1x. So I'm going to write minus x. If you want to write a 1x, that's fine. No problem. Negative x times, here's my distributive property. I have to multiply that negative x by the entire 2x plus 1. And it gives me negative 2x squared minus x. So negative 2x squared minus x. Now what do? I subtract. So I'm going to subtract these two. Watch your negatives. Negative 2 minus a negative, which is plus 2, does give me 0. 5 minus a negative, which is plus 1. So 5 plus 1 is 6x. And bring down the negative 7. One more time. Divide. 6x divided by 2x is 3. I'll write it over here for you. 6x divided by 2x is 3. So I'm going to write a 3. It's a positive 3. So I write plus 3. Multiply. 3 times 2x plus 1 gives me a 6x plus 3. So I'll write that over here. 6x plus 3. I subtract. 6 minus 6 is 0. Good. Negative 7, careful, minus 3 is negative 10. And then I bring down. Oh, I don't have anything left to bring down, so I'm done. My final answer is 2x squared minus x plus 3, remainder, negative 10. And there's a long division. So, remember your 4 steps. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Be very careful that when you are entering your polynomials into your long division, if you are missing a term, you replace it with a 0, x or x squared or x cubed or whatever. You only have to do that for any terms that come after the first term. For example, I would have no reason to start with a 0x to the 4th. I would just start with an x to the 3rd, and anything missing afterwards is where I have to fill in with a 0. Okay, so there's long division. Good luck. Thank you.